The main thing that you will need to worry about when using Profit Builder is using the live editor that comes with this plugin. Now, in order to access this live editor, you first need to create a WordPress page or a post. However, you not only have to create this, I will call this one test page. You need to go ahead and actually publish this page on your website. Once you have published the page, then you can actually get into the live editor. You click on this Profit Builder tab, and then this is going to open up this window and you have an edit page link. Deactivate is only something that you would want to use if you had started creating a page as a Profit Builder page, but then you wanted to go back to using the normal WordPress page. You could deactivate Profit Builder from being used on this page. Edit page, though, will get you into the live editor. Now, before I proceed on to the live editor and teach you how to actually use this software, I want to point out a couple of additional settings that are available for you on this main WordPress editor page here. If you look in the sidebar and also in the bottom of this screen, you're going to see a number of options here. PB theme, this has to do with a revolution slider where it rotates images across the slider on the page. Custom CSS coding that you would want to have for the page. Funnels and split testing, something that I will be talking to you about in a future video. But then we also have the sidebar here. Going down, this entire sidebar has PB theme page options, where we can do things like removing different aspects of the Profit Builder theme. If you have the Profit Builder theme as the main theme that is being used on this website, or perhaps the only theme, then you would be seeing these options. So you can remove the footer or the top bar or the menu or the breadcrumbs on any given page. You can specify a page width if you want to. Backgrounds, image backgrounds, videos. There's all kinds of different stuff. Facebook retargeting, pixel code. For the average person though, you won't have to use those options. But it is worth pointing out, because if you can't find something in the live editor itself, it's possible that it might be one of these options available on this particular page. Now, it is also worth pointing out that if you have another theme on your website that you're using as the main theme, but then you also have Profit Builder installed, you would instead see something more like this, where you have this Profit Builder templates section. For most pages on your site, the pages that you would want to be using your standard theme on that site, you would have the theme templates selected. But then there's also the Profit Builder full width page. This would essentially enable the Profit Builder theme, but only on this one particular page. So again, if you're not using Profit Builder theme as the default theme on your site, something that I talked to you about in one of the earlier lessons, then this is how you actually enable the Profit Builder theme just for chosen pages of your site. This is actually something that I do on some of my websites, because I'll use a normal theme to set up my website how I would usually do it, but then maybe I want to have some opt-in pages or perhaps some sales pages or something like that. specially made with Profit Builder, but are still on that particular website. This is how I do it. I just set individual pages to use the Profit Builder theme. So with that said, once you got your page created and you're ready to get started with using Profit Builder, you get into the live editor by simply clicking on Edit Page. Now when my page loads up, this is the screen that you will also see. Up at the top here, this is the Profit Builder theme in terms of the header information that's available to me. If I were to go back and edit the page, just to show you what some of these options are doing, if I'm using this theme, but maybe I don't want to be showing the header and the footer type of things that are available there, I can easily remove that by using all those different sidebar options that were available to me back here. So for example, I might want to hide the breadcrumbs, the menu, the top bar, and the footer. I'll update my page with these new options that I have put in. And once I have updated, then I can return back to the live editor and I can see the difference. Now there's nothing else there. It's a completely blank page because I've removed all of the other elements to it. So if you're looking for a blank canvas to begin with, that is how you achieve it. Now from this point, you can do one of a number of things. You can load up a pre-existing template. This is something that I talked to you about in the previous lesson. You can also load from page, which is where you basically copy an existing page that's already built on this site, and you're loading it in as a new page though. So then you can edit it, make minor changes to it to preserve the design so you get a uniform look across your entire website. This makes creating new pages on your site go really, really fast. But you have to create a first page to begin with, something that you would then copy using this feature in the future. So your options for creating your first page is either build a new page. This is going to be creating it from scratch, where you have to actually select each individual element that's going to go on the page, or you can load it up from a template. Now, you can go ahead and start from scratch and play around with it, and then later decide to load up a template within the actual page. That's actually done using this folder icon up here, Load Template. So for now, I'm just going to start my page from scratch so you can see how this works from the very, very beginning. This is also important because it helps you to learn some of the basic concepts behind how Profit Builder is actually used in terms of how do you create pages, how do you design pages and add content to pages using this software. It all starts with this Add New Row button. What this is going to do is add a new horizontal row across the entire web page here. You can add as many of these as you want to. So by adding a new row and then another new row and another new row and so on, you create your entire web page one horizontal block at a time. So with that said, I can click on Add New Row to get started here. When I do that, I'm presented with all of these buttons, and this will immediately be a little bit strange to you, and you'll wonder, okay, what does all this mean? What do I do now? It's actually not as difficult as it looks though. all of these buttons represent an area within this page. What I mean by that is this particular block that's just a solid block. This represents a full width row. So this is going to go from one side of the page all the way across to the other. It's going to take up all of the horizontal space. With these other options though, everything else besides the first one, it's going to split that row into a number of different pieces. For example, this one we get 2 equal halves. This one we get 3 equal thirds. On this one, we're going to have a 1/3 and then a 2/3. Now, just to help you visualize what is going on here, I'm going to start with a solid block, which is going to be a full row. So you can see how this block up here is stretching all the way across the page. If I add another new row and I do the 2 halves, you can see how I have a half over here and a half over here. So this is how you design a web page using the Profit Builder editor. If you want to display just an article, for example, and have it take up all of the available space, or maybe you want to have a big chunk of header text that runs all the way across your page, that's going to be your full rows, your full width rows, like this top one. Maybe you want to show an image on one side of the page, but want to have text or some bullet points or something like that on the other side of the page. But you want those to be equal portions. That would be this. You have one of these could be your image, another one could be your bullet points. So using that concept, all of these represent different makeups of how you're going to utilize this space from left to right, whether it's going to be one solid piece or whether it's going to be 5 different pieces or 4 different pieces, whether those pieces are going to be the same size or whether you're going to have one that is much larger and one little tiny one. So that's the basics of adding all of these new rows. Once you have rows put in, you have these areas that ask you to add a shortcode. On any of these, if you just simply click on them, it's going to bring up this menu that allows you to add an element to this page. And there are a bunch of these elements available to you. You have headings. This would be like a big chunk of header text. You have bullet lists, you have images, clickable buttons, chunks of text or HTML, so this would be like for an article. But then beyond these first 5, and these first 5 are probably going to be the main ones that you use, there are quite a few other ones, and not just the ones you're seeing on this initial page here either. There's a drop-down box up here at the top, and there are a number of different types of these shortcodes available to you. For example, we have charts, bars, and counters. Counters, percentage bars, percentage charts. Those would be like, things like pie graphs and actual graphs. Different kinds of progress bars and percentage bars. We also have content, where we can add something like a video to our web page, or even an audio recording, a contact form, slider images. On the advanced screen, we have countdown timers, testimonials, pricing tables, Google Maps, opt-in pages, social sharing features, calendar features. So there's all kinds of different stuff, different kinds of lists that you would like to make. Utilizing all of these different shortcodes, you can design a wide variety of different kinds of web pages. But if you're brand new to using Profit Builder, and especially if you're not really that familiar with building web pages for that matter, some or possibly even all of this stuff that you're seeing here may not make any sense to you. And so it can be a little hard, or at least a little daunting, to try to build one of these pages from scratch. And that is why the template system exists within Profit Builder. And I'm going to get to showing you a little bit more as far as why you should use the template system here in a few minutes. I do though want to make at least a quick demonstration of putting a couple of things together from scratch. So I clicked on header for that top shortcode, and as you can see, it puts this header text on my page where that was located before. So this is me building my page one piece at a time. You can also see that once I have added that in, I have this bar over here on the right with a whole bunch of different options. These options allow me to change how this header is going to look. So for example, right here where the text is, if I change this text, I can make it say what I want. And it's going to update in real time and show me over here the changes that I have made. Now, this is a pretty small text box. It's not that big of a deal when you're just entering in a little piece of header text like you see here. But when you want to enter in, say, a full article into your page, then you probably don't want to be working in this tiny little box, even though there is this little corner control right here where you can slide and make this box larger or even smaller so you can have a little more viewing space to work with. But really, if you're going to be messing with more than just a couple of lines of text here, you might be better off opening this in the WordPress editor. This is actually going to be more familiar to you. This is like what you see within WordPress instead. So now we have this way of editing and adding in our content. So in addition to something basic like the text, you have a lot of other things at your disposal, and ultimately the kind of shortcode that you selected is really going to determine what options you have available to you on this sidebar over here. Whatever the shortcode is really about, for example, let's say you add a video shortcode onto your page. When you're looking at the options over here, that's going to be where you enter in the information for your video, where you would provide the URL perhaps to the video on YouTube and have different controls and determine how big it's going to be, alignment, borders, things of that nature. When you're dealing with text, it's going to be more simple stuff like the color of the text. For example, right here, this is the color of the text. I can click on the little color swab over here and it's going to open up a tool where I can easily select what color I want to use. And then again, it will automatically update things for me over on the left. Other important stuff might be centering the text, for example. We have text alignment. So I can make this be in the center of the page instead of sitting over here off to the left. Other stuff like the style of the font. Maybe I want it to be big, bold letters, or maybe I just want to make it look different. You know, there are a lot of different font families that I can choose from to change the way the text is going to look. And when you choose a font family, you also have the options of choosing a font style. Sometimes, like with Arial here, there's only regular and italic. But with other fonts, like Arial Black, you will sometimes have more options than that. Maybe it's Tahoma. Well, I may be mistaken about the different font styles. It looks like regular and italic are all you have to choose from. I used an earlier version of Profit Builder. 1.0 is the version I've been using for the past couple years. And there are at least some features that have changed or gone away or been added in this new version. So, you know, certain things like this, I recall there being a bold for some of the font families, but I don't seem to be able to locate that at the moment. Something that's worth noting though, if there is something that you want to be able to do to your text, for example, that you don't see an option available for anywhere here, make sure you scroll all the way down because, you know, there can sometimes be quite a few different options at your disposal. So a great example being to make it bold. You know, what if I do want to make it bold and it's not already bold? How can I do that? You can do it inside of the WordPress editor like you normally would. You can also, if you're comfortable with it, you can just add the HTML text. So I could put strong tags around my text and get it to turn bold for me that way instead of you know, having to look for an option. So you can see right there, it immediately made my text bold, even though I didn't have an option available for it down below. So most of the stuff you're going to be able to do over here, but if you can't find the option, consider whether you might want to use a little bit of simple HTML coding, and the strong tags being a prime example of that. And if you're not sure of how to do that kind of stuff, use the WordPress editor because it can do those types of things for you without you having to know the code that lies behind it. Now there are also other simple things available to your disposal here, things like borders around your text, different margins and paddings. The blue box is your padding, so that's going to be inside of your element. If this was a colored button, for example, inside of the button would be inside of the borders of the button. So if this whole thing was a button and inside of this border, maybe it was colored orange, but let's say I wanted more space in between the border and the actual text that was there, I could achieve that by simply adding in padding going all the way around it. So the numbers are pixels. So that's 10 pixels in all directions that it would add that extra padding inside of the element. Whereas these numbers in the orange, this is outside. This is going to be your margin. So 36 is spacing of 36 pixels down below this element. So this just provides a little bit of room between this stuff and whatever is going to come next, just to prevent things from being crammed on top of one another. But maybe you were building a design where you did want the stuff down below to butt right up against the stuff that was above it. This margin here is what prevents that from happening. By removing that margin, you can see it brought everything snug right up against what I was doing before. So personally, I find this to be something that's commonly used when I am trying to design a page within Profit Builder. Now, I also mentioned before that you could do stuff like images or videos, and when you choose a different kind of shortcode, you end up with different options available to you over here on the side. So with the image selected now, I'm not being asked for the text that's going to go there because there is no text. I'm being asked for relevant information. So now it wants to know, what image do I want to display over there? I can click on upload, and I can upload an image through WordPress just like I would any other normal image. And then I can automatically have it display on this particular page in that image spot by selecting it. So now it loads up that image and it puts it on my page. Maybe I want this image linked, perhaps to using my Amazon affiliate link. So when they click on the image, they get to my Amazon page, and if they buy the product, I get a commission. I would add my affiliate link into this URL box down here where it says image link. So a lot of the stuff is fairly self-explanatory in terms of the options that are there. Some of the things are maybe for more advanced users, but you know, for the most part, I find this to be pretty easy to use, even without having, you know, knowledge of things like coding, because you don't have to worry about the coding that goes into creating this image or linking this image to a web page. All you have to worry about is selecting the image and providing the URL. So, you know, this makes designing pages much, much easier. Now, once you start to build onto your page a little bit, you might notice as you move your mouse around, you know, you have all these different things that keep appearing and disappearing from your screen. These, and over here on the side, are different toolbars for the items that you are adding to your page. For example, I'm editing my image right now, but let's say I'm working on my page and I decide that I don't like the text that I put in up top. How do I change that now that it's not available over here on the right anymore? That's what these control bars are for. Whenever you want to edit the actual element, like the text that is here or the image that is here, those are always going to be the control bars that are above that element. They're sitting right up at the top. So when I hover over the image, the one that's at the top of the image here, the very first one, this pencil, is the edit button. Clicking on this brings up this sidebar over here so you can change the details. So if I want to change this one, I would click on this edit button. And that's going to let me get back to the screen I was at before, where I can change the text and things of that nature. Now, you will probably also notice when you hover over any given element, you don't just get one control bar. You're actually getting another one over here on the left. If you click on this edit button, it's going to be different. You actually can't edit the text with this edit button. What is going on here is that the controls that are on the left, these, and these, for example, these are the controls for the entire row. So here, it's only going to control this one element because that's the only element in the row, the only shortcode that's in that row. But on this row, I have this spot and this spot. So this controls the entire row that consists of this shortcode and this shortcode. So with that said, the row editing allows you to change different properties about that row. For example, you may have seen web pages before where they're not really confined within the borders of a web page. They stretch and take up the entire available width that is on the person's computer screen. That is called a full width row. And if you want to change your site to look like that, you just click on this checkbox and you can see it extends my box now all the way off to the edges of my screen. Even if I jump off of this page, you can see it's still taking up all of that space. So if I were to go and change every row on my page to a full width row, my page would become very different looking. It's going to stretch and take up all of the available space now just because of that one option. And again, that's only in the row editing and not the actual shortcode editing. Other things that could be done, one that's something I will commonly do is having a background color where I might have say like an orange or a yellow or maybe even a red that stretches all the way across the page, and then the text laying over it. Obviously my text here is not going to blend on a red background, so now I have to go and change the color of my text so it will actually stand out. So using these different features, we can, one piece at a time, design our entire web page. But as you can see, just from messing with a couple of these different elements here and adding just a couple of minor things to this page, it's taken a little bit of time. That is why the template system that is available makes things much, much easier. Before I jump to that, one last thing real quick, just to demonstrate a couple of these other features that are available in this control bar. One of them is the moving feature. This little multi-way arrow, if you click it, you can drag these elements to different areas. Now notice I only was dragging the actual text. It doesn't bring the background with it because I was only dragging the shortcode. If I wanted to drag the entire background with it too, I'd have to be moving this, and that'll actually bring everything with it. Now the next one is clone. This just simply makes a duplicate. So now once I created, say, a header design that I liked, I could put it here and I could have another one further down the page, and I can quickly create new ones like this and just keep building up content down my page with sections of content in between the headers, and it makes it a lot easier this way. You can also delete things. If you say clone one too many of something and you want to get rid of it, you can get rid of it that way. You can drag elements within the rows. You can, move them to different rows. So ultimately, any piece of this can, be cloned and moved off to another piece. And then I could even choose to edit, any one individual part of it. So down here, I could have, a different header than the one from up above. So once you clone something and then edit it, they remain separate after that point. So using this feature, once you get kind of some of the basic elements designed that you like, that does speed up the process quite a bit. But to take that a step further, the template actually has all kinds of stuff already pre-built for you. And so what I like to do is to try to find an existing template that is close to what I am looking to do. Sometimes I'll even get a little more complex and actually try to take pieces from one of my templates and put it into another template. That can actually be achieved by opening two of these live editors at the same time. So you get one open in one tab, and then you open another tab. You open the live editor for two different pages, the two templates, for example, that you want to combine. And those toolbars, you use the copy to copy from one, and then you go to the other one and you can paste it into it. So that's how you can kind of take a piece from one template and add it into a piece of another template. So to show you what I'm talking about, I'm going to load up this template here. And you can see a lot more of what this software is really capable of doing. Because I could honestly sit here for hours and demonstrate the different features that are available here, because there are really just so many of them. Now this is worth pointing out. Anytime that you see this little pop-up on your screen asking if you want to leave the page, never click on leave the page unless you are absolutely sure that you are done with the editor. If you're prepared to click on this X button and completely close out of this tab, that's the only time you should click on leave page. Sometimes when you save your page, which is with this button right here, after you save it, if you want to close the page and you try to click the X, it might still pop up that message on you. If you're sure that you saved it and none of your work could be unsaved, then it's okay to click it and leave it if you're indeed done with it. So with that said, with this template loaded, this gives you hopefully a better idea of some of the different features that are available inside of Profit Builder. You can see all the different types of things and designs that this software has been able to put together. And again, this is just from this one particular template that is honestly just using a small sample of all those different shortcodes that are available. So using one of these pre-existing designs actually makes it a lot easier to start building something. If you know you want to have this basic layout, or you want to have this particular design here, for example, I could copy off this row and I could copy this row one at a time, go into a fresh page, and I could paste them in if I just wanted to pull these two pieces out. So same thing with any other part. If I wanted to completely utilize the entire template, then I could just edit it in place right here. I don't have to worry about copying stuff out. So I could just start going through one piece at a time and set the logo image for the top of my page. I go here and I start changing the text. Solution, conversion, revenue. You can see the words right here, solution, conversion, revenue. You just edit the appropriate text to change what you're going to see on my screen. Now it says fast, easy, simple because that's what I edited over here. Just like before, when I was creating things from scratch, all of the options you can see are available over here on the right. So this is why I say start with a template. Even if you want to try to design a page from scratch, load up a couple of different templates first and see how they did some of this stuff. For example, how do they have this header that has text in the middle that's using a different color from the sides? That's being accomplished with this HTML coding that's changing the color of the word easy. So some things that are simple design elements that you might not initially think about like that, you can figure out how that's done by just looking at the templates that exist within Profit Builder and either reusing them, edit them to your liking, or just learn the concepts, learn how they're achieving various designs that you see. I mentioned earlier when I was doing the images, I believe, if you were to have, say, a video that you were going to put on the page, when you edit it, that over here you would just provide the video URL. You can see right here, this is the URL for this video that's playing on the page. So it's pretty easy to change that by just pasting in a new video URL. It could be from YouTube or Vimeo. There's also options to use embed code or to even like upload your own video to provide your own URL for a video. You have different controls like sizing, whether or not to autoplay, whether or not to even show controls within the video. You can see here there are no controls, and you might recall that it autoplayed when I first came on the page. So if I was to change that to where I didn't want it to autoplay, but I did want controls, you can see now when I play it, I get the controls down here at the bottom like you're used to seeing within a YouTube video. You can remove that stuff really easily with these options. Whether or not you want it to replay when it gets to the end, whether or not you want to force HD playback, that would be high def playback. There's all kinds of different options just depending on what it is you're editing. This one here is a button. So when I edit the button, I can see the text that is on the button is actually in this little text box right here. And it's actually in between strong tags, so that text will be bold. So I can change this text to say anything I want it to say, and it will update within my page. Now I also think it's useful to learn about certain elements on the page being really necessary to edit. Not only is this a button and I have the obvious stuff like the text, but certain elements like a button will have other really important things like where do you want that button to go when somebody clicks on it? That's going to be the URL. So putting in the URL, for example, this might be taking somebody to a checkout page or taking them to an Amazon affiliate link. Whatever the case may be, the URL, the destination for clicking on that button, you need to make sure that's getting provided or else it'll just be a dead button. When people click it, it just won't do anything at all. Something else that I really like in this software are these little things here. There's all these little neat looking icons that you will see used in a lot of these templates. They work the same way as any of the other elements that are on the page. You edit them and you have the different options available to you here. But what's cool about these is there are a ton of different icons that you can actually use, because these are not actually images, they're icons. You can see right here it says icon and icon type, and there is a change button. I can click on this and scroll through the list of icons that are available to me and choose any of them that I want. And there's even multiple tabs of these icons. So maybe I want to show somebody my Skype information. I could change that to the Skype symbol. And then the other elements that are involved here, things like the coloring, that stuff can easily be changed. So I can change the background color. I can change the actual icon color as well. So the red here, this is going to be the color of the icon. So, you know, if I want it to look more like a blue Skype icon, then I just change the color to blue. When you hover, it's going to be a different color. That hover color is located right here. If you don't want it to change, just set it as the same color. Then when you hover over it, well, after it updates, then the color will simply remain the same. So hopefully you can start to see how this software works. Any of the elements that you see on the page can easily be edited by just clicking on these little edit icons. Whenever you are finished with what you are doing, my Skype icon finally updated here, and you can see I hover and now my color no longer changes because I set them to the same thing. So you just repeat this stuff to design the web page, to edit all the different text that's available to you. And then when you're finished, you go up here and you just simply click on Save Page. That will save everything that you have done, not only so you don't lose your work, but it's also worth noting that whenever you click on Save Page and it finishes saving it, those changes are automatically going to go live for that particular page on your website. So if this is a page that you're sending traffic to and you realize you made a mistake and you go in and you make a quick edit to it and you go click Save Page, that change is now live on your website. You do not have to go back into editing the page in the normal WordPress editor and actually click on the update button. Saving it here takes care of all that for you. If you build one of these and it's something that you can see yourself reusing over and over again. If you did a lot more than just change the text and the images that are on the page, if you were changing design in terms of removing and adding rows or changing a lot of the colors around and stuff like that, and you want to be able to maintain that same look on other pages of your site, it makes it a lot easier if you save this as a template. You just click on Save Template. You can call it whatever you want to, and then just click on the Save button. Once this is done, then you could go and load this template up on a new page that you create. But in addition to that, you can also export these templates and load them up on the main template page that I demonstrated in the previous video. You can just go up here and export. You select the same template name that you have saved, and then you can actually download that and move it over to any other website that you want. So this is how I was able to create some custom templates and provide them to you guys. So you can quickly load them up and reuse them on your own websites as well.